Here are 8 great niches that are selling like crazy on Amazon right now. But which type of book should you create? To help answer this question, I'll walk you through our 6-step process for doing niche research. We're structuring this video just like a free course, so all 6 of these steps can be done for free without any software required. So let's jump right into step number 1. To get started, run a search for a list of potential ideas. Now, I've already gone ahead and picked a few that stood out, so if it saves you some time, feel free to follow along using this list. Now, so far, these are all just high-level niches that are going to be very tough for a new book like yours to compete in. Just look at how many search results appear for kids' activity book. This is much higher than the results you'll get from a sub-niche like kids' handwriting book. That's why it's important to drill down one more step and discover the best-selling sub-niches. For example, under kids' activity books, there are so many options you could possibly curate, and all of these will have far less competition than just a generic activity book. The process I'm going to show you is how to take all these ideas, plug them into Amazon, and then analyze which sub-niches you should get into. Let's begin starting with connect the dots. Now this is already looking like a really good sub-niche, but let me show you exactly what I'm looking at here. So you want your search results to be under 5,000 or more ideally under 3,000. And here you can see we're under 1,000 for the search term connect the dots for kids. And second, you want to skip over the sponsored search results, which you can see are right here, and then start looking at this list with the first organic listing. On Amazon, the best way to verify any niche is to analyze the level of demand, competition, and royalties. You can easily do this by pulling in the estimated sales, reviews, and the percentage of royalties on the top products within this niche. So let's first start with demand. There are 2 ways to determine the level of demand for any book on Amazon. And the first one is by the BSR, or the bestsellers ranking. And you can find this on the product detail page by going down to the product details section, and you'll see it listed right here. So this one, for example, is 77,000. And so all BSR is, it's basically an indicator of how well a product on Amazon is currently selling, and the lower the number, the more sales. And the second way to determine the demand for any book is to look at the monthly sales. So we like to look at books that sell on average 100 sales per month, which is about 2 to 3 book sales per day. Now there's a really cool calculator for this, which we'll put down in the description. So it's BookBeam right here, which you just put in any bestseller ranking and choose a marketplace. And when you click estimate, it'll show you right here how many sales it gets each day and each month. Either one of these methods will work for analyzing demand. So what you can do now is go through the rest of these results and keep a record of all the products on page 1. So for this, you can track everything on a spreadsheet just like this. So looking at our list here, we can see the average of all these books here is around 300 sales per month, which is really good. And you can also see the average BSR of all the books in this niche is right around 66,000. And those are both really good numbers. So remember, our indicator of a strong niche is usually around 150 units per month, and the BSR, anything under 300,000 is really strong. So this one definitely passes for high demand. But you also want to verify that the sales are evenly distributed across the top 10 products, which seems to be the case here. The last thing you want to see is just these top 2 or 3 books dominating all of the sales. Next, to determine competition levels, add 2 more columns to track the number of search results and the number of reviews for each book. Tracking the number of reviews is really important because even if a niche has under 1,000 search results, it could still be heavily dominated by a few big sellers who are going to be very tough to compete with. I like to look for books that are selling more than 150 units per month while having less than 100 reviews. And you can see there's actually a few on here that meet that criteria. After that, you can add a few columns to track the profitability. You can do this by recording the price point, and for this, hopefully you'll see a lot of books here within the range of $5 to $10. That way, you get a pretty decent royalty on each sale while still being in a price range that creates less friction for buyers. Speaking of, it's also good to track how much royalty each book receives. Again, I'll put this link down in the description, but BookBeam has another awesome free tool that lets you calculate royalties as well as the printing cost. You just need to head over to the listing and grab a few pieces of information. First is the book type, which you can find in the title, and usually you'll find these are paperbacks. Next is the interior type. You can identify this by opening up the book and seeing if it's using colored ink or just plain black and white ink. Next, you just choose your Amazon Marketplace and the number of pages. This can also be found back on the listing right here in this section. And then just plug in the price, and then you'll see a full cost breakdown, including your royalty. Again, you'll want to track this for all the books on at least page 1. That way you can get an average for the entire sub niche. I also like to add this column here, which simply multiplies the monthly sales by the royalty, just to give you an idea of how much each book is making per month. And the last thing I like to do here is record when the book was published and whether or not it's using KDP. Both of these can be found back on the listing under the product details section. If it's a KDP book, the publisher should be independently published. And if it has any other name, then it's most likely a book that's printed outside of Amazon. As well, the publish date should be listed right here. These are all the most important metrics to track. So now let's do this for the other sub niches just to see which opportunity has the highest potential. And real quick, if you're getting any value from this video so far, let us know by hitting the like button down below. As we move on to our second niche, I'm going to be using the Jungle Scout extension to help speed up this whole process of analyzing the data. It lets you easily validate product ideas as you browse on Amazon. And don't worry, like I just showed you, everything here can be done manually, but if you have a tool like this, it can be done so much faster. That's why I'll be using it. Our second sub niche is Spot the Difference books. So I have it pulled up right here, and I'm noticing it's right at 1,000 results, just like the last niche. Now, where the extension comes into play is right here. You can refer to the overlays to look at some of these metrics like monthly sales and the BSR. So this is really helpful. Or better yet, opening up the extension will display a lot more information for every product on page 1, which you can see here is about 16 results. So looking at all these books here, we can use this top row, which is going to show us the averages of all these books on the first page. So we'll see the average monthly sales is at 218. The BSR is under our range of 300,000. The average selling price is pretty good at 837, and the average reviews, or what Amazon now calls ratings, is 252. So this is looking pretty good so far. So what we look for with reviews is ideally you want this to be under 1,000 for the top products on page 1, or even better yet, under 500. So we're looking pretty good here. And now to calculate the royalties here, you still need to use the BookBeam calculator, which is very specific towards KDP. So the extension actually has this pretty awesome FBA profit calculator tool, which lets you estimate your storage costs, but this is more so for business models like private label that require you sending in physical inventory into Amazon's warehouses. But what's great is you can actually go through this list and add all these products to your product tracker, a tool that helps you easily compare and keep track of all your ideas. Then you can actually leave notes directly on certain books to record the royalties that were calculated using BookBeam. This is also a really good spot to know whether or not it's a KDP book. And unlike Excel, this data constantly refreshes, so you only have to add it in once. It even lets you go back to the previous 6 months and view the trends over time, which is really important because before you go investing a bunch of your time into creating one of these books, you'll want to have a better idea of the seasonality and how much they typically sell per day. This then becomes how much you could expect to make if your book were to eventually rank on page 1. Let's now move on to our third sub niche, and these are I Spy books. Now, one of the best ways to analyze any niche is to see how many new books are performing really well within their first year. So if you find that a bunch of new books are being launched and are able to hit that 100 or 150 monthly sales in their first year, then there's a really good chance that another book like yours can also compete. Again, you can find each book's publication date right here on the listing. So if you're using a spreadsheet, track how many of these are successful within their first year, or in the extension, you can actually use filters to quickly isolate all the books published within the past year. Doing this will now show us 10 results, and it looks like all these books are doing pretty well. So we can see around 200 monthly sales, pretty good BSR, a really good price, and the average reviews is only 18. So this is really cool to see that these products that were just recently launched last year, despite only having an average of 18 reviews, are getting a lot of sales. So what I like to do now is look at maybe one particular book. This one, Count the Farm here. It's priced at $8.99, getting 410 monthly sales and 103 reviews. So you can see it was just launched last year, but if we actually go to the listing now and scroll down, I just want to confirm to see if this is a KDP book or not. And it looks like it is, so it's independently published. So it is a KDP book. And then coming back to extension here, I just want to look at the monthly sales over time. So if we click here, we can see it, it started out at 200 monthly sales, so it did really well. And then now this book is around 400 sales per month. So these are the monthly sales. And also if we look at the BSR over time, we can see how that's really evolved. I mean, it's went from 61,000, it peaked at 200,000, and it's now in under 10,000. So this is really great. This product was just launched last year, which could possibly give you a lot of confidence that this niche is ready for a new book. Again, you want to do this for every niche that you're evaluating, and then this will give you a really good idea of the competition. Let's move on to our fourth sub niche, and these are dot marker books, which has around 2,000 search results here. Now, this next strategy here involves niching down once more, but this time trying to identify unique angles. So what I mean by that is, take this book, for example, here. It looks like it's a pet book. It's targeted towards, people who want a dot marker book specifically for animals. And this one here is for princesses. Preschool, for example. So you're seeing all these different angles that you could take with this book. And if we use this one as an example, we can go down a rabbit hole now and search for dot marker books, specifically targeting pre-K, preschool, or the ages of 3 to 4. So we can really go down some rabbit holes there and find another niche that has a very particular angle. So we can see this book right here. It's getting around 343 monthly sales. And it's selling at $6.99. I just want to confirm if it is a KDP book or not. Scrolling down to the bottom, and it is. It's independently published here just a little over a year ago. So this is really good. This book is already at a couple hundred reviews, 200 reviews, and they're getting more than 300 sales per month. Okay, so let's go down this rabbit hole. I'm just going to add pre-K to the search term here. We'll see our search results are now under 500, which is really good. And as we scroll down this list, we'll see who is selling books specifically targeting towards preschoolers here. So you see a lot of books look very similar to one another. This book here, 8 reviews, was launched this year and is getting 7 daily sales already. So that's really good. See some other books down here. 56 reviews was launched last year and it's getting 6 daily sales. And this one here, 2 reviews launched this year and is getting 5 daily sales. So this looks like a really good niche for new sellers that come in, and specifically targeting, these dot marker books for the pre-K audience. Now, as you start going down all these different rabbit holes, your list of potential book ideas is going to get very big. But don't worry, this is by far the most important part of this entire process, and you don't want to waste your time creating something that nobody will buy, or maybe the competition is too high. So if you're in between ideas, one of the last checks you can do is seeing how hard it is to create the books you're looking at. You may find that one book is super easy to make in a free tool like Canva, and another book idea requires more design skills, which you may or may not have, or may even potentially need to hire someone that does. But because we're talking about low content book ideas, I'm sure you want to create something that's relatively easy and obviously free for you to make. So I'll show you what to look out for as we move on to our 5th sub niche, and these are cut and paste workbooks. So right away, you can see the results here are under 1,000, so that's really good. But let's go ahead and look at these averages up here. So over 200 monthly sales, the BSR is just under 300,000, which is great, a good price point. And the average reviews is a little bit high, but at 600, it's not bad at all. What I'm gonna do now out of these 32 results is, again, filter down to see just all the books that were launched within the past year to see how hard it would be for a new book to come in and compete with these books over here. So now with this results list, a filter, I'm seeing still pretty good sales, just under 200, still a pretty good BSR price point, and now the average rating number is 13. So 13 reviews and still getting a lot of good sales for these 6 books here. Now, if we go ahead and take one of these books, for example, this book here, we can look and see, okay, so 183 monthly sales and track that over time. Started out at 90 and is right now at 183. So with everything looking pretty good here, it looks like this is a sub niche that has room for new sellers. But let's now go to the listing and see what these books look like and how hard it would be for us to create. So the first indicator is by just opening up the book and seeing how it's designed. For example, I can open this one up here, and just start looking at it. So it's got an instructions page, which is pretty simple. And this page here probably looks like what the whole book looks like, is you have some of these areas to cut and paste up here and some designs that look very easy to do on a free tool like Canva. In fact, let me try it real quick and see whether or not it's something I could actually do. All right, so I'm in Canva, and again, Canva is free. So what I'm gonna do here is just add some text. I'm gonna try to match what this book did. So just adding an A here, let me make it a little bit bigger. And then what you can do is actually come over to effects, hollow, bring down the thickness a little bit. All right, so move this over here. And now for the hash lines, I'm just gonna do, dotted lines. Should be able to find something like this. And basically you can see how this is getting to a point to where I'm getting pretty close to this design here. And all of these design elements are super basic, and it looks like you can get away with it in Canva by just using the free elements, using some text as well. So it definitely looks achievable, and it could be something that you could do as well. So hopefully you see how something like this could actually be done for free with little to no design skills at all. All it takes is just a little bit of effort, patience, and creativity to make your book unique. And that's a really good point here that I want to touch on. I'm not trying to tell you to copy a book just like I did here. I was more so trying to show you the process of using a free tool like Canva to create something similar. But it is important that you don't just rip off other people's content, but you do make your book unique. But hopefully Canva or other free tools out there can help you realistically do this. But don't let a little bit of work scare you away. I know you're here to learn how to make low content books, but I see a lot of people who are just getting into KDP talk about selling these super generic books like, lined journals, for example, only because they're extremely easy to make. So instead of low content, try to think of it as medium content instead. You still don't need to be an author or even a designer to get started, but these are books that require just a little bit more effort and work on your part, but they can be a huge success for you. We have a complete guide on how to make these medium content books, so make sure to watch this next video to learn everything you need to know before getting started. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Let's move on to our fourth sub niche, and these are dart. And these are why do I want to say dot marker books.